The Line 6 HX Effects is an absolutely extraordinary piece of technology from Line 6. It comes from the Helix family, and essentially this has the capacity to be your entire pedal board all in one, or with its size it can integrate pretty easily with a larger pedal board. Now, I bought this originally to replace this, which is the Line 6 M9. This sat at the end of my board, and it basically served for modulation, delay, and reverb, and that's all. Everything else I took care of with analog pedals. And really, that's what I had purchased the HX to do, but the longer that I have this, the more I realize how much more it can do. So, for the next few videos, I'm going to be doing a series on how I use the HX, and maybe some tips and tricks on how you might do the same. Alright, so we're looking at my HX effects. This is my preset for using this board as an electric pedal board all by itself. As you can see at my feet, I've got 2 overdrives, I've got a tremolo, I've got 2 delays, and then I've got a reverb up here. There's a little bit more than that going on under the hood, but I think the best way to show that would be to just go ahead and set up a whole new patch similar to this one. So first I'm going to hit mode over here, and we're going to bank up. Finding a new preset. We're just going to pick a new preset. It really doesn't matter which one you pick. Now, when I'm trying to put together a pedal board, the biggest thing that I'm thinking about is, what do I need at my feet? What do I need to be able to interact with while I'm playing? And so, obviously, the first 2 priorities for me are overdrive. I like to have 2 overdrives at my feet at minimum. So I like the concept of having a light gain, a medium gain, and then I can stack those to make high gain. So those will take 2 of the switches. I like to have 2 delays, especially if I'm doing worship. I like to have a dotted 1/8 note delay and a 1/4 note delay. I like to have a big washy reverb. I have 1 more up here for whatever I like, and usually that's a modulation. And right now, my favorite modulation is tremolo. So with that in mind, we know those things that we need to put in here, and so what we're going to do is we're going to come all the way up to the menu, get into signal flow mode, so that way we can start setting things up. Alright, so first thing in the chain, usually I'm going direct with this using my Tech 21 Blonde. So one thing that helps the Blonde to sound a little bit more natural is to use a little bit of compression. So turn the big knob till we get to dynamics, hit that. Doesn't really matter if mono or stereo. And then, you just pick one. For right now, I will just pick the Deluxe Comp, and so that'll live there first in the chain. Next, we're going to put in 2 overdrives. So go to distortion, and I'm going to go for the Minotaur, just a good low gain kind of a drive. For the second one, I'm going to go with let's go with the Scream 808. Why not? One other thing while you're doing this, you're also going to be wanting to think about where you want the switches to be assigned. So as I go back here, I don't need this compressor to be assigned anywhere because it's probably going to just be on always, and I can't really spare the switch. So I'm going to tap here to bring the control over to this window, and then I'll change the foot switch selection to none. Come back over to the Minotaur. Right now it's set up on foot switch 2. These are numbered 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I want it here, so I will set it to foot switch 3. Next, Scream 808. Right now it's set up on 3. I want it down here, so I'm going to set it to 6. And now we're in good shape. We can continue moving. So next is whatever modulation I should decide I want. Let's say that maybe I want a phaser. So I'm going to go to modulation, and we'll go here. We'll just use the script mod phase. I want it up here, so I'm going to put it on foot switch 2, and that is good to go. Okay, moving on to the next. Now we're into the delays that will live right down here. So we get down to delay. And let's pick something. First I'm going to do the dotted eighths. So we'll do, I really like the Adriatic for a dotted eighth. I want to make sure it's on 5, which is where it is. That's good. And coming over here, I'm going to have this set up to being dotted eighth notes. Okay, everything else looks pretty good. Now I'm going to do something a little bit strange with this one. And I'm going to come back over here to where it says path. I'm going to move this down to path B. And what that's going to do is it's going to have signal that passes above and signal that passes below. And I'll show you why I'm going to do that here in just a second. So we're going to move on to the next block. And we're going to put in the second delay. So here we go. And on this one, I'm going to put in the transistor tape. It's going to be set to quarter note. And I'm leaving this one, as you can see, it's up on path A. And what this means is that these two delays will be able to be on at the same time without interacting with one another. It works really nicely if you're having trouble with muddy signal with both delays on. And you want to clean that up, you can do that really quite easily by having two delays on separate paths and then they come back together. As you can see, I'm able to move the point where the two paths recombine, or you can take it all the way out. I'm not going to do that right now, but you can take it all the way out to where they output to different outputs if you wanted to. For right now, I'm just bringing this back. So now those two delays won't interact. And now we're on to reverb. Now, one tip that I really want to give you is the reverbs in the HX effects are fantastic, but they do get a whole lot better when you start to layer them together. If you really want to play with things like this, I can't recommend highly enough that you go to Worship Tutorials, and I'll include a link down below. Go to Worship Tutorials, they have some free HX effects presets, and one of those is this excellent reverb preset, where they've dialed in several reverbs, and most importantly, it lets you play with a whole lot of different reverbs to see how they interact and see what you like. So for this pedalboard build, what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit save, and then I'm going to come back out here. You can see everything is where it's supposed to be. Right now everything is on, but I'm going to come hit save twice, so that way everything is saved. That's 18A, gotta remember that because I didn't rename it. But I'm going to go up, and I have saved several things from Worship Tutorials. As you can see right here, I've got ambient verbs, WT, for Worship Tutorials. And as you see, it's just a whole pedal board of nothing but reverbs, but they're all dialed in really nicely. So for this one, what I'm going to do is I'm going to build a reverb using the particle verb and also using, let's use Ganymede. So we're going to take both of these and we're going to copy them over. So I'm going to show you how to do that. So first we select up here just by touching it. You hit Action, Copy Block. Now it's copied. So now I'm going to come back out, back down to our preset. I'm going to go back into Signal Flow View, back in here to where we want to put it. Action, Paste Block. Now we've got the particle verb in place. Okay. Now once again, double tap to save. Don't forget to do that. I always forget. We're going to go back up to our Worship Tutorials. I'm going to grab the Ganymede, copy block, coming back down to our preset, back to Signal Flow, moving over, Action, paste block, Ganymede's there, we're good to go. So I need to assign both of these to the same switch, so I can hit one switch, they both come on, and it becomes just a much more complex reverb. So it's really easy to do. Right now it's selected none. I don't know if you can read that or not. And I'm just going to put that back on foot switch 1. And as you'll see, particle verb is on foot switch 1. Ganymede on foot switch 1. Easy peasy. All right, we have one block left. And what I'm going to do, again, I told you that I use the Tech 21 Blonde when I'm running direct. So what I want to do is I want to have a reverb, because I'm a big fan of amp reverb, and Tech 21 doesn't have a reverb. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put in a reverb. I'm going to go to Legacy, because some of these are really quite good too. So I'm just going to go with let's go with a room reverb here. Now, I don't want the room reverb to interact with these really washy ambient reverbs. So what I'm going to do is I want this to shut off when these turn on. Luckily the HX can do that, no problem. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to just come over here to where this is selected, and I'm just going to turn the knob to assign this to foot switch 1. So now, when foot switch 1 is hit, these two reverbs turn on, this reverb turns off, and vice versa. So we go back here, again, double tap the save. Right now the room reverb is on. If I just touch this, it cycles through all of the different verbs that are assigned to this and their state. So if I live here, I can hit this. Now Ganymede is on, particle verb is on, room reverb is off. Okay, so really you just set it up with whatever makes the most sense to you. To me, it makes the most sense to have this off. Now, maybe we'd like to have that be a different name up there. So we're going to hit Action up there while this is selected. We're going to hit Customize. And now we can come over here and we can change the name to whatever you want. And so we're just going to call this VERB for verb, and then we're going to go and change out the rest of these. All right, and then OK. Now we've got verb up there. Hit save twice. We're good to go. So now we've got everything where we want it. We've got overdrive, overdrive, delay, delay, modulation, and actually 3 reverbs that are all attached to this same switch to do what you need. And then remember, of course, that these delays are in parallel, so that way they won't interact with each other. Okay. Obviously from here you just have it set up, so now you still need to sit down and actually do the tweaking. So the next step would be to go through and actually plug it in and do some playing through. And that's what we're going to do next. Okay, so got everything set up. The signal chain is my Gibson Les Paul Traditional Pro running into the HX, running into this Tech 21 Blonde, which then runs into the computer via the Behringer XR18 interface. So here we go. This is clean tone. Now I say clean tone, and remember that the room reverb is always on and the compressor is always on. We can run in here and shut those things off really pretty simply. Just select them, turn them off, select them, turn them off. And then we get a perfectly clean tone. We're going to turn those all back on, however. There we go. Okay, back to it. Here is the Minotaur. Okay, switching over to the 808. stacking them both together. So maybe as I look at this, I'd want the 808 to maybe have a little bit less, maybe back it off on the tone a little bit. Yeah. All right, so here's the phaser. And of course all the settings are up here ready to go, so that way you can control them with the 3 knobs up top. Kick in the delay here. And this one actually has more parameters that you can change. So you just touch this and it displays out all the parameters across all the screens. You still have the ability to turn it on and off. And then of course you can just change which screen is active and make all your changes. Right now we'll kick over to the transistor tape. I do want to show you the 2 delays in parallel. So here's the 2 delays on. Yeah, so you can hear that those 2 delays are doing very different things, and each one is independent. It's kind of a cool way to clean up your sound. Just for the sake of argument, here's what would happen if these were not independent. It would sound like this. You could hear a lot more of that galloping in there. You can kind of hear how much muddier that is. Put it back into path B. So see, it's a lot cleaner that way. So, okay. And then this is the reverb with the 2 different reverbs attached to it. Actually, the 3 if you count turning off the room reverb. So here, that just lingers. Yeah, so there you have it. I mean, it's just a very, very simple, straightforward pedal board, which would work for a variety of music. You know, I think for something we just put together just now, It's really not too bad. I'd probably adjust these overdrives a bit, at least the way that I'm listening to it right now. These two sound very, very similar. I probably want something a little bit. I probably back this one off a little bit, and as far as gain, and bring this one up. Maybe even swap it out for a different model. But there's so many things on here, so many things you could do. So there you have it. It's the Line 6 HX Effects, a fantastic pedal board all on its own right. Next time we'll take a look at how it can be used with other instruments, and then even how it can be used with a pedal board. So stick around for that. Make sure that you subscribe. Hit the notification icon down below and you'll know when the next videos come out. And just remember, sing your song. You're the only one who can. See you next time.